Welcome. This is a gentle class geared toward getting someone back into movement after a foot injury. So, we're going to try not to put too much pressure on the feet at all, and we're going to keep it gentle and just a class for after cleared for movement that you could start to play with. So, also, it would be helpful for any other injuries or if you just needed a really relaxing class. But some of the modifications are specifically just to keep pressure off the foot. I'm going to use blocks and a strap. You also might want to grab a bolster and blankets. You'll notice if you're used to using bolster and blankets, some of the places that we're using blocks, you could use a bolster instead. And just now, even lying on the back, if this was uncomfortable for your neck, a pillow or a blanket underneath the head is fine. So coming to, again, using what works for you, adding things as you need to add them. But whenever you're ready, laying on your back, you're just, if that works for you, just hands to the low ribs. I have blocks under my knees, or again, like I said, it could be a bolster, just so my feet can be not soles of the feet on the ground. So if you were doing this without blocks, you can bend the knees and have soles of the feet on the ground for now. And just here, let the eyes be soft or closed. And feel the breath flowing through you. The rib cage expanding out into the hands on the inhales. And softening back in towards the rib cage, towards the ground on the exhales, to the spine. And just let your breath lengthen and deepen here. Letting the rib cage move with the breath if it has that desire. And just feel how the breath can move your body. Let yourself settle into the flow of the breath, into this moment, and just deeply connecting to this current of air that is flowing through you. Throughout this practice, I invite you to keep this connection to the breath. So if at any point your thoughts start to drift or wander, that moment, bring your attention, your focus, your awareness back to the breath. I also invite you to be deeply connected to yourself. So notice how you feel. Honor whatever that is, especially if you've just had a traumatic physical incident like a surgery. And feel free to let that guide your practice. Feel free to modify, adjust, and adapt. And even if you haven't had a traumatic physical event recently, feel free to listen to all these things. So sometimes we are just exhausted, and that is reason enough to modify, adjust, and adapt. All I ultimately ask you to do is to stay connected to the flow of the breath and to move with this connection of it. So breathe. Letting the breath moving through you. And keeping the connection to the breath as you gently open the eyes. And then from here, we're just going to come to the natural curves of the spine, moving into them. So first, come to your hips. So you might let your hips gently rock a little side to side here. But eventually feeling the balance, the evenness between the right and the left side of your hips, pressing down through the hips. Come to the low back right above the hips. The low back right above the hips lifts off the ground a little bit. You can slide a hand or two underneath the low back. The shoulders nice and heavy on the ground. The neck again lifting up a little bit. And back of head with chin in neutral or slightly lifted, nice and heavy on the ground. Or like I said, if you need a pillow, pillow. And sometimes it actually feels to roll up a towel or something underneath the neck rather than a pillow. So you could also play around with that if you've never explored that. But wherever you are, feeling the natural curves of the spine, getting a little bit more active through the musculature of the body as you engage to create these arches or to lean into these arches a bit, breathing. And then from here, with your next inhale, we'll actually first spin the knees and the toes to the sky too. Your feet flex, so a bit more active. With your next inhale, go ahead and stretch your hands up to the ceiling, palms face in, fingers pointing towards the sky. Exhale, press the shoulders down into the ground, feeling the shoulder blades on the back a little bit more. And then inhale, lift the shoulders away from the ground, shoulders blades off the back. Exhale, press the shoulders into the ground, shoulders on the back. Inhale, lift the shoulders away from the ground, shoulders off the back. Exhale, press the shoulders into the ground, shoulders on the back, with your shoulders pressing into the ground, rooting some. Inhale, stretch the arms up overhead, back for the wall behind you. And exhale, lower the hands down towards the feet. Inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Exhale, lower the arms down towards the feet. Inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Engage your core, not so much that the low back flattens out, but just so you feel the low ribs hugging in. And stretch out back to your hands for that wall back behind you. Breathing here. And then exhale, go ahead and release. You can just bring your hands back to the low ribs. Relax through the legs. Feel the breath moving through you. And then starting to become more active again. Natural curves of the spine. Hips, shoulders, back of the head all rooted. Low back and neck lifting up a little bit. Knees and toes spinning towards the ceiling, engaging the inner thigh muscles. Go ahead and grab the strap. So I can't remember if I said at the beginning, you'll want a strap or a blanket or something nearby. So if you need to pause for a moment, because I didn't say that, go ahead, get the strap or a blanket or something you could use to grab or to extend your arms. And then from here, what we're going to do is bend the right knee, lasso the strap around the shin, and just pull that right knee in towards the chest. And that might only be way out here somewhere, or you might pull the knee in closer, coming into a deep flexion of the knee joint, if a deeper flexion of the knee joint is appropriate for you. Again, if you have a knee injury or something going on, you might not come into a deep flexion of the knee joint. You might just press the shin out into the strap here and practice bending your knee. Breathing wherever you're at. Notice as you pull this shin in towards you, as you did bend the knee, if you're back rounded. If you're back rounded, try to bring a little bit more weight down into your hips below the low back, and try to balance out the weight between the right and the left side of the hips. Shoulders, back of the head still rooted. Feel the breath moving through you here. And then go ahead and releasing this leg back down. And second side, bending the left knee, strap around the shin. And again, you might be less bend in the knee, pressing the leg out into the strap or the towel. This is one of the reasons why we have it, so you don't have to come in so close if it's not appropriate in your body. Or maybe pulling that leg in closer if it is appropriate in your body and you feel like doing so. Breathing wherever you're at. Your left knee and toes, the leg that is along the ground, are spinning towards the sky. Feel the natural curves of the spine. So again, balancing out the hips between the right and the left side if things shift it, and trying to shift the weight down into your hips below the low back. Shoulders and back of the head nice and heavy. Breathing here, nice, full, deep, complete breaths. And then go ahead and release that leg. Put the strap over to the side. And just relaxing a bit here again. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. Noticing how you feel after doing those movements. Becoming active again as you're ready. Spinning the knees to face the sky. Feeling the natural curves of the spine. Inhale, stretch your arms to the ceiling. Exhale, shoulder blades on the back. Feel the core engaged. Inhale, stretch the arms up overhead, keeping the shoulders pressing down. Exhale, circle the arms wide around and down. Inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Exhale, circle the arms wide around and down. Inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Exhale, arms wide around and down. Breathing here, feeling the natural curves of the spine. Go ahead and grab the strap again here. And this time with the strap, perhaps looping the strap around the belly of the right thigh. Left knee and toe still spinning to face the sky. Natural curve of the spine still happening. And again, kicking the leg out into the strap here. This is also a alternative for the first pose, is grabbing the shin. Just didn't work for you anyway. You could also instead insert grabbing your leg this way and pulling the leg in towards you this way. Feeling the outer right hip stretching for the wall out in front of you, straightening that right leg however much works for you. And maybe to straighten the leg all the way, you need to give yourself more strap. Play with that. See if there's a place where you can comfortably, not forcing, but comfortably straighten the leg and see how that feels in your body. But if it's not comfortable for you, then it's not for you. That's fine. Breathing wherever you're at. And then maybe pulling the leg in closer, trying to keep the leg relatively straight as you do so. Feeling that outer right hip stretching for the wall out in front of you. I think I said left before. I meant right. So same hip as the leg. I'm used to mirroring. So this hip, the right hip, rooting away from you. You could even do what I'm doing. Grab both ends of the strap with your left hand and take your outer right, or your right thumb to your outer right hip and press that away. Breathe. And then exhale, go ahead and release this side. Staying active through the legs, knees and toes facing toward the sky. If that works for you, again, anything that doesn't work for you is a no-go. Leave it out. As you feel ready, maybe lassoing the left thigh with the strap. You can also use your hands if you're used to doing this with hands, by the way. And then pressing the leg out into the strap. Keep the natural curve of the spine, both hips nice and evenly weighted. And maybe play with straightening that left leg as much as works for you. And again, that means you might have to give yourself more strap. And if you need to give yourself more strap or more towel, I like to double up strap. It just makes it easier, it feels like, for me to grab. So here, if it works for you to pull the leg in more, you might do that. Your two sides might be different, breathing wherever you're at. Feeling that outer left hip lengthening a little bit here. So, again, maybe take both ends of the strap into the right hand, left thumb to the hip, press the hip away. And you might notice as I do that, my toe turns out a bit, externally rotates. That could be fine. Or I could try to keep the toe facing right up overhead by turning that leg back in as I just extend out to that outer left hip, breathing wherever you're at. And then exhale, go ahead and release, putting the strap again over to the side, letting yourself just relax here. Breathe. Okay. Activating through the legs, spin the knees and toes to the sky, natural curves of the spine, stretch the arms up to the sky, root the shoulders down. With your next exhale, lower the arms down towards the feet. Inhale, circle the arms wide around and up overhead. Exhale, lower the arms down towards the feet. Inhale, circle wide around and up overhead. Exhale, lower the arms down towards the feet. Inhale, wide around and up overhead. Breathing here, extending nice and long. And then exhale, go ahead, bring the hands back to the low ribs. Keep the natural curves of the spine. Core a little bit engaged here. And then with your next inhale, you're going to lift the right leg up relatively straight without using anything. And exhale and lower it back down. Inhale, lifting the right leg up relatively straight. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale, lift the right leg up relatively straight, holding here. Notice if your hips are tucking under a little bit here, and you can decide whether or not you want to untuck the hips or let them tuck under, letting yourself move a little deeper into a forward fold. Breathing. If your tailbone's lifting up off the ground a lot, though, that might be a little bit too far. So I think with this bottom leg on the ground, that probably won't happen. But again, just being aware of that you might not want to let your back round a whole lot here. But a little tuck under the tailbone could be fine in this position, and just feel the breath moving through you. And then exhale, go ahead and lower this leg down. Rooting down through the hips, coming back to the natural curves of the spine if you did let the hips tuck under. So the hips not tucked under so much here. Straightening that left leg as you exhale and lift it up, or left leg relatively straight. Inhale and lower back down. Exhale, the left leg lifting up relatively straight. Inhale and lower it back down. Exhale, the left leg lifting up relatively straight. And again, holding here, perhaps now letting the hips tuck under just a little bit. You can press down through the shoulders and the back of the head still if you like. Breathe. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Keep your knees and toes spinning towards the sky, leg muscles engaged, arms along the sides. And if it works for your neck, with your next exhale, engage your core, maybe lift the head and shoulders up. Inhale and lower back down. Exhale, engage your core, maybe lift head and shoulders up. Inhale and lower back down. Exhale, engage your core, lift your head and shoulders up. Inhale, lower back down. Breathing here, with your next exhale, lift your right leg up relatively straight. Hips might tuck under a little bit here. And if you want to, only if you want to, exhale, lift head and shoulders up here. If your leg is close and you'd like to grab your leg here, you could grab your leg here, thigh, wherever. But again, you don't have to. You can also just keep your arms by the sides, breathing wherever you're at. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Lower the right leg back down. And as you're ready, second side. But take a moment in center. So take a moment, natural curves of the spine, untucking the hips. And then with your next exhale, go ahead and lift the left leg up. Your hips might tuck under a little bit here. Arms along the side, engage your core, lift your head and shoulders up. And maybe holding on to that left leg, maybe not. Breathing wherever works for you. Nice, deep, full, complete breaths. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Release the left leg, lower down. Relax to the legs, relax to the arms. Feel the breath moving through you here. Nice full deep breaths. Okay. Then from here, go ahead, hug the knees into the chest, coming into a ball, gently rocking a little bit. And then coming back into center. So legs extended, knees and toes up to the sky, natural curves of the spine, hips, shoulders, back of the head, heavy. Go ahead and grabbing the strap. And again, I like to double up straps a lot, so you'll see me just do this without thinking about it too much a lot. Just because for me it's easier to hold on to most straps if I double them up. And that's fine if you have a long strap. If you have a shorter strap, doubling it up might not work. And if you have a towel that's thick enough, or if you have something thicker you're using, it's usually thick enough that you don't have to do that. Then go ahead when you're ready. Again, coming back to the natural curves of the spine, spinning knees and toes up to the sky. Lift your right leg up, strap around the right thigh. Press the right leg out into the strap, straightening the leg however much works for you. Feel free to give yourself more strap to have the leg further away, or to use the strap and pull the leg in. If your knee bends some, that's okay, but the action is straightening the leg. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Feel both hips nice and heavy on the ground, but particularly trying to keep the left hip down. As you inhale now, open the right leg to the right side, only as much as you can keep the left hip down. Exhale, right leg back to center. Inhale, opening the right leg to the right side. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, the right leg opens to the right side. Holding here, breathe. Nice, full, deep, complete breath. You might either gaze up to the sky or perhaps turn your gaze to look over the left shoulder if that feels good for you. But breathing wherever you feel good at. And then go ahead and bring this right leg back in, and you can release the right leg down. Press down through your hips for the natural curves of the spine. Go ahead and lift the left leg up. Lassoing the left thigh with the strap or whatever you're using. Trying now to keep the natural curves of the spine as you press the left leg out into the strap, straightening the leg as much as feels good for you. The action is straightening. The form may not be straight. And then go ahead and pull that leg in towards you if you want to. You can take both ends of the strap into the left hand. Right hand I like to bring to the hip crease in particular. I like to know that my hip crease is still there in a lot of poses. So a lot of times I will bring my hand to my hip crease. Keep pressing that right hip down, right shoulder down. And inhale, the left leg goes to the left side. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, the left leg to the left. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, the left leg opens to the left with the right hip, shoulder, pressing down, breathing here. And again, feel free to keep your head facing towards the sky, or if it feels good to turn the head and look over the right shoulder, you can do that. Breathing wherever you're at. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. And then inhale, coming back to center. Go ahead and release the left leg down. And from here, just bend your elbows, fingers pointing towards the sky. And again, notice the natural curves of the spine. So hips, shoulders, back of your head nice and heavy. Back lifts up a little bit, neck lifts up a little bit. So in this position, in neutral, the spine between the shoulders is also relaxing down some. So we're going to arch our back a bit more. We're going to start playing with back bending here. So what we're going to do is wiggle the shoulders up towards the ears and wiggle the shoulders underneath us on the back. So the spine in between the shoulders starts to lift up. So we start to make an arch with our whole back. The hips are pressing down. The back of the head is pressing down. The shoulders are rooting down. But the rest of the spine is becoming one big arch, like an arch of a bridge. Breathing here, nice full deep breaths. If this does not work for your neck, leave it out. We'll play with back bending in some other positions. So again, if this is not for you, just leave it out. And then exhale, go ahead and release, letting that middle part of the spine between the shoulders relax back towards the ground. The rest of the spine still becomes less of an extreme. So there's still a little bit of an arch in the low back, but not as much as when you made the arch through the whole spine. Breathing here, you can relax through the legs. Nice full deep breaths. Okay, so from here, We did this all with blocks underneath the knees just to have a little bit of a support for our legs. If you would like to repeat a few of these poses without the blocks behind your knees, that helps to stretch out the front of the thighs a little bit more. You could do that. So again, keep the blocks or the bolster or whatever underneath your knees if that works better for you. But if you want to now, you can come to straight legs, which might stretch out the front of the thigh muscles a bit more here. Still the natural curve of the spine. Go ahead, grab the strap. Actually, first just do this. Natural curve of the spine, hips, shoulders, back of the head heavy. Low back, neck lifting up. Stretch the arms for the ceiling, root down through the shoulders. And inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Exhale, lower the arms down towards the feet. Inhale, stretch the arms up overhead. Exhale, arms lower by the feet. Inhale, arms stretch up overhead. Exhale, come into a ball, gently rocking. Breathe. Coming back into center here, again, coming back into this position. Feel free to keep the blocks underneath the knees, like I said before. Pressing down, though, if the legs are straight, through the legs, straightening them as much as comfortable. Press down through the hips. You can also do this with imaginary blocks behind your knees. So if you, again, somewhere in between is to intentionally bend your knees without something underneath them. But again, only what works for your body. Hips, shoulders, back of the head pressing down. Rib cage settling down, but not so much that you're losing that arch of the low back. And then from here, go ahead and grabbing the strap, which I somehow managed to not. Yay me. And then from here, holding on to the strap, you can again lift the right leg up, lasso the strap around the thigh, and if you want to, pull that leg in towards you, coming into a deeper flexion of the knee joint as you stretch that outer right hip away. Breathing here. Nice full deep breaths. And then pressing the leg out into the strap more, maybe straightening the leg here, breathing here. Nice full deep breaths here. Maybe pulling the leg in towards you a bit more. Nice full deep breaths here. And again, if you need to give yourself more strap, give yourself more strap. So do what you need to do, but also if your knee is bending some, that's fine. The action is just straightening the leg. The form isn't necessarily straight. Right hand grabs the strap with both hands, left hand to your hip, left shoulder or hip staying down if possible. Open the right leg to the right side. Breathing here. Nice full deep breaths. And then inhale, come up to center. Take both of the ends of the strap into the left hand if you want to. Open the right arm to the right and take the right leg across the left. Only if this works for your hip. Again, for some people, this is not a movement that's going to feel good for their hip at all. But if this works for your hip, you can do this. And again, this is harder if there's something underneath your knees. But if there's nothing underneath your knees, you can relax this left leg a little bit and let the right hip lift up as you move towards a twist. Breathing here. Nice full deep breaths wherever you are at. And then inhale, coming back to center. Anchoring, resetting the hips, anchoring that left leg down again if you're playing with that. If you want to, from here, engage your core, lift your head and shoulders up. You can slide, if you would like, the strap up further on the leg. I'm not grabbing foot with strap because, again, this is a class made for someone with a foot injury. But if you don't have a foot injury and at any point wanted to lasso the strap around your foot instead, that is also an option. And then go ahead, slide the strap back down, lower back down, release your strap. Lower with control the right leg down to the ground if that works for you. Again, just a little bit of a core thing. Okay. So again, filling hips, shoulders, back of the head, anchor. Low rib settling down, but not so much that you're flattening the back. And then with the strap, actually, take a pause. Relax between sides. So just letting yourself, legs roll in or out, just letting yourself relax, noticing how you feel after just doing one side. Breathing here. Now becoming more active. So again, engaging your legs, spinning the knees and the toes up to the sky, feet about hip distance width apart, Tadasana on your back. Press down through the hips. Feel that little bit of a lift through the low back. Feel the shoulders rooting down. Feel the neck lifting up a little bit. Back of head, chin in neutral, lowering down or pressing down. Low ribs settling down. Not so much the back flattens though. Still a little space. Grabbing the strap. And then holding on to the strap. Looping the strap around the left thigh. Pressing the thigh away from you for a moment, natural curves of the spine, but then maybe pulling that leg in towards you. Breathing here, nice full deep breaths. Noticing how you feel as trying to stretch that outer left hip for your feet, or I would say the front of the mat, but we're not standing. Breathing. And then go ahead, press the leg out into the strap here, maybe extending the leg straighter. If you need to give yourself more strap, give yourself more strap. Or you can pull the leg in closer towards you, whatever works for you. Breathe. Nice full deep breaths. You can take both ends of the strap into the left hand, right hand to the hip. I like to press down the hip crease area. Breathing here, right shoulder trying to stay grounded too, as you open that left leg towards the left. Only as much as feels good for you that you keep the right hip moving towards the ground. Breathe. And it's not that lifting the hip up is evil. It's just that you're moving into some other positions that other days we might play with. So again, if it does lift up and if it feels okay and you're doing some other things, maybe see how that feels. Okay, come back to center with the left leg. Both ends of the strap into the right hand. Left arm opens to the left. You can cross the left leg over the right here, keeping the hip on the ground if that works on your hip. This stretches the IT band out a little bit. Breathing here. And then if you want to, and again, if you have your legs propped up on something, if you have a bolster or block underneath the right knee right now, this might not work so much. But if you want to lift the left hip up and move towards a twist, you could do that here. Breathe. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. And then inhale, coming back to center here. You might have to readjust your hips here. Come back to the natural curves of the spine, anchoring down to that right leg again. And then maybe with your next exhale, use your core, lift your head and shoulders up so now the back is a little bit rounded. You could slide strap up higher on the left leg if you wanted. And breathe here. Nice full deep breaths wherever you're at. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Put the strap to the side with control. Lower the left leg down. Knees and toes spinning towards the sky. Still active for now. Bend your elbows, fingers pointing up to the sky. Inhale, shoulders up towards the ears. Wiggle the shoulders underneath you and arching your back here. Breathe. Feel free to stay here. And again, if you need to leave this out because of neck, leave this out because of neck. If your neck is feeling pretty good and you want to go a little bit further, you can press down to the elbows and even tilt the head back a little bit, moving more towards a fish pose variation. Breathing again wherever you're at. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Come back to the natural curves of the spine. Press down through the hips, the shoulders and the back of the head. Inhale, arms stretch towards ceiling. Exhale, shoulders anchor down. Engage your core. Stretch the arms up overhead. Full body stretch. Stretch. Nice, full, deep breaths. And then go ahead, exhale, hug the knees into the chest, coming into a ball, gently rocking from side to side. And then from here, we're going to actually flip all the way over, rolling all the way over onto our bellies. So give yourself however much time you need. And you also will probably, again, if you have a foot injury, you'll want to set up the blocks so your feet are lifted up and supported. So just as you're ready, flipping your way. And again, it might not be the most graceful of moves. To your belly. My blocks are too close in right now, so I just want them someplace that if it feels uncomfortable to have my feet on the ground, that they feel a little bit supported here. Afro flip time. Okay. And then once you are here, just coming to resting, head on hands, relaxing here. And again, adjusting where I am in relationship to the blocks to someplace that feels comfortable. I do recommend foam blocks for this and not cork. Cork is a little bit hard. I'm just used to using them. So, and bolster would be like brilliant here too. So if you have pillows that you can use as a bolster or a bolster, you might want to do that instead. But just using what's around is always good. Let yourself settle here. So just feel the breath moving through you in this position. The rib cage pressing into the mat with the inhales and softening back in towards the spine with the exhales. Feeling that movement of the breath through your body. Feeling how the body moves with the breath. I'm going to actually take a moment and adjust where I am on the mat. Okay. So again, if you ever need to pause and adjust, pause and adjust. Breathe. From here, starting to become more active. So pressing down to the hips. Again, even between the right and the left side. Press your forehead into the back of your hands. And inhale, float up through your elbows here. Breathe. This is a Makrasana variation. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Flip which hands on front. Press your forehead gently into your hands. And inhale again, floating up the elbows here. Breathe. A nice, full, deep, complete breaths. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Inhale, lift your gaze a little bit. Bring the hands to either side of the torso, underneath your biceps or your elbows or the shoulders. Press down to the hips. Lengthen back to the legs. Now here, since your feet are on something, you might not find so much extension to the legs. You don't really want the knees to pop up too much here. But here, when you feel ready, inhale, lifting up a little bit through the shoulders, maybe the chest too. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale and lift up through the shoulders and the chest. If you can hold here, you can hold here. You can gently move the torso a little bit side to side, keeping your hips nice and anchored. Breathe. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Rest the head on the hand. Gently rock your hips a little side to side. Coming back into center with the hips. Feel the hips nice and heavy and evenly balanced on the earth. With your next exhale, go ahead and bend the right knee, but pressing down through the hips so much the low back doesn't contract on you. Inhale and re-extend. Exhale and bend the left knee. Inhale and re-extend. Exhale the right knee. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale the left knee. Inhale, re-extend. Exhale the right knee. Inhale and re-extend. Exhale the left knee. Inhale and re-extend, anchoring down through the hips. Bring the arms along the side, lifting your gaze up a little bit. Arms straight, fingers pointing towards toes. Palms can be up or down. And again, just inhale, lifting up through the shoulders and the chest. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale, lift up through the shoulders and the chest. Exhale and lower back down. Inhale and lift up, holding here, breathing if that works for you. If you want to float the hands up, you can. If you want to, you can interlace the hands behind the back here. But again, just breathing wherever you're at. Nice, full, deep breaths. Then exhale, go ahead and release. Rest the head on the hands. Relax through the legs. Rock the hips a little side to side. Coming back into center with the hips here. Pressing down to the hips. Knees are spinning to face the ground. So if your feet are so wide apart, your knees are opening to the side. Make sure the knees are turning down towards the ground. And then pressing down strongly to the hips. Exhale, maybe bend both knees a little bit more here. Inhale and re-extend. Exhale, bending both knees. Inhale and re-extend. Exhale, bend both knees. Inhale and re-extend. Keep pressing down to the hips, lengthening through your feet, perhaps, if that works for you. Again, with a foot injury, you might not be able to. You might have to be softer here. That's fine. And then here, pressing the forehead gently into the back of the hands. Float your elbows up again here. And this time, if you want to, go ahead and lift up. So using your back muscles and actually lifting up through the chest, through the head. Exhale, lower all the way back down. Switching sides, pressing the forehead into your hands. maybe floating up through the elbows, and maybe here lifting up. Breathe. Nice, full, deep breaths. And then exhale, lower all the way back down, relaxing, gently rock the hips a little side to side. Feel the breath moving through you, and just letting yourself be heavy in center. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. If you do want to turn, if it feels good here, to turn your head gently to one side and then the other. I did that really quickly. You would actually hold because I want to turn and face the camera most of the time so you can hear me better. But you can turn your head gently to one side, and after a few breaths, gently turn your head to the other side if that feels good for your neck. Breathe. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. Okay, you might want to grab a strap here. This is a hard setup to do, so again, you might just need to give yourself some time just to set up the strap here. But what you would do is you come to your side and you bend your knees most likely, and you try to get the strap around the shin. And then you come back to your belly here and you extend through the strap here, and you would again set yourself up then. So the strap is kind of behind the knees are on the ground. To see if this will actually, yeah, okay. I was just making sure when I bent my knees that I could pull the strap up. The strap is on the ground and you're resting back on your belly, okay. Or any way you can come into this position where the strap is behind the knees are on the ground, feet are still lifted up, okay. So breathing here, nice full deep breaths. And then from here, pressing down to the hips, anchoring, bend both knees. Bring the arms along the sides. You can grab that strap. You might have to kind of finagle a bit to get it up higher. Kick the shins out into the strap, and then lifting up here. Some Dhanurasana, not Dandasana, not staff pose. Dhanurasana variation. Knees pointing more back to the wall behind you than anything. Breathe, nice full deep breaths. If you can grab your legs easily, your ankles, you could do that instead. And then exhale and go ahead and release. And gently rocking a little side to side here. We're going to do 2 more versions, just a heads up. So second round, and always stay free with staying with the first thing you're doing or to leave things out entirely. Second round, if you want to do a different version, you start the same way. So bend the knees, finagle the strap up higher on the legs. Kick the legs back, lifting up here. If you want to, you can lift your knees up as you press the strap into the legs. And again, you might have to give yourself less strap. Breathing wherever you're at. Nice, full, deep breaths. And then exhale, go ahead and release, lowering all the way back down. Gently rock the hips from side to side. For number 3, this won't work with a towel or a short strap, so just a heads up. This you would probably need a yoga strap for. And this again, video is made for someone who has a fairly active practice, so they might want to play with this. If you are newer to yoga and you are leaning into the gentle aspects of this, then I would leave this out. But if you want to, bend your knees, grab the strap with your hands, and instead of having the hands, well, first finagle the strap up, but instead of having the hands going back, what you do is you flip the hands forward and you prop yourself up on your elbows. And you can stay here. So again, this is a place that's accessible for a lot of people, and this is a lovely, lovely place to be. But if you want to, you kind of slowly start to let the elbows lift up here, if that feels okay for you and your back. You can also give yourself less strap. And again, let the elbows float up. You can let the knees float up. You can come basically into more like a will pose on the ground using the strap for the feedback with the arms overhead, stretching out the shoulders. But again, this is only if you have a practice that moves into these territories. Breathing wherever you're at. And then exhale, go ahead and release. Rest your head on the hands. Gently rock the hips a little side to side here. And then just let yourself settle into center. Breathe. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. We are going to ease our way all the way back onto our backs to come into child's pose because, again, we're avoiding feet. And again, you might have to do some interesting shimmying because of that. Hug the knees into their chest, gently rocking here when you feel ready. And then rolling to your side, coming up to sitting for just a moment. Again, being cautious of everything. But really what we're doing here is, again, resetting up blocks for being on back. So, again, blocks underneath your knees or bolster or whatever you're using. Coming back to your back here. And feeling the breath moving through you. Okay. Then activate the legs, knees, and toes up to the sky. Natural curves of the spine. And grab the strap. And you could do this with legs straight along the ground too, but again, this is just a little bit more supported. Lasso the belly of the thigh with the right thigh with the strap. Press the leg out into your strap for a moment, breathing here. Maybe exhale and pull the leg in towards you, breathing here, noticing what this feels like. Nice full deep breaths. And then pressing the leg back out again. And then maybe straightening the leg, trying to keep the natural curves of the spine. Now, when I pull the knee deeply in here, deep flexion, sometimes I do, again, let my hips tuck under a little bit there. So just kind of, again, things to realize. But here, again, natural curves of the spine for the moment. Pressing the leg out, give yourself more strap if you need to. You can pull the leg in if you'd like. Breathing wherever you're at. If you want to engage your core and lift the head and shoulders up, you could do that. If you want to slide the strap up higher on the leg, you can do that. Breathe. And then exhale, sliding the strap back down, lowering head and shoulders down, both into the strap, into the right hand. Left hand to your hip, opening the right leg to the right. Nice, full, deep breaths. And then coming back into center with the leg. And again, twisting is not so much easy on the blocks, but you could do the stretch where you take the right leg across the left. If it does feel okay for you to move a little bit into a twist, I suppose you could, but the block kind of prevents that. And then go ahead and come back up. Release this leg down. Just feeling yourself here, letting yourself relax. And then activating it again, knees and toes up to the sky, hips, shoulders, back of the head heavy. Grabbing the strap, looping it around the belly of the left thigh. Press the leg out into your hands to lengthen the left side of your waistline. So what you're trying not to do, just to show you, is hitch this hip up and contract here. So the reason I'm having you press the leg out into the strap is instead of hitching the hip, you're getting some extension through that side. So again, but on the left leg, pressing the left leg out into the strap here, breathing, and then exhale and maybe pulling the leg in towards you. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths here. And then pressing the leg out into the strap again here. If you want to, straightening the leg again. If you need to, give yourself more strap. That's fine. Breathing wherever you're at. Nice, full, deep breaths. You can take the right, or actually from here, pulling the strap leg in towards you. Engaging your core if you want to. Lifting the head and shoulders up. Breathe. If you want to slide the strap up higher on the leg, you can do that. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. And then exhale, sliding the strap back down, lowering head and shoulders down if you lifted them up. Taking both into the strap into the left hand, right hand to the hip. Opening the left leg to the left side, only as much as feels good for you. Breathing here. Nice, full, deep, complete breaths. And then coming back to center with that leg. And again, from here, maybe both ends of the strap into the right hand, maybe keeping the left hip down and just crossing the left leg over the right, but only if that works in your body. Breathe. Anything you do today, only do what works in your body, breathing wherever you're at. And then go ahead and come back to center. And then from here, you can go ahead and lower this leg down. Just letting yourself relax here. Breathe. Nice, full, deep breaths. Okay. Spin knees and toes up to the sky. Bend your arms, elbows by the side. Inhale, roll the shoulders toward each other on the back. Lifting up here, arching the back if that works for you. So again, now the shoulders on the back, you're lifting the thoracic spine between the shoulders up. You're lifting the low back up a little bit more. The hips are still down. You're making a lovely arch with the spine. But again, only if this works for your neck or the rest of the body here. And then exhale, go ahead, come back to the natural curves of the spine. So again, not flattening the low back. There's still a little bit of an arch there, but it's much lower. And the spine between the shoulders is relaxing down more. Relaxing here. Breathe. Nice, full, deep breath. From here, you can hug the knees into the chest, coming into a ball, gently rocking. Feel free to stay here. Open the knees wider apart, lengthening to the spine. Point the knees down towards the ground on either side of the torso, acting like you're going to. And then flipping your feet up to the sky if you want to, holding onto the back of the knees or the lower legs as you rock from side to side here. Happy baby. And then coming back into center, just stretching everything out. And final relaxation. So you could just Shavasanize here, do Shavasana here with blocks underneath your knees if that works for you. If that doesn't work for you, come into whatever position the spine is relatively neutral and supported that you can relax into. And then just let your eyes be soft or closed. And feel the breath flowing through you. With every exhale, let yourself release a little bit more. Let the bones feel heavy. Let the skin feel soft. And whenever you're as relaxed as you're going to get, release the conscious control of the breath and just let yourself rest here. And feel free to stay here as long as you want. I am going to go ahead and finish the video, but you can stay here. When you are ready to come out, you can hug the knees into the chest. If it works for you to gently roll to the right side and pause, you can go ahead and do that. But just whenever you're ready, easing your way out of this, coming into sitting if that works for you, or whatever you need to do. But again, for you guys at home, staying in Shavasana as long as feels good or your final relaxation. I'm just going to end this video with an Om, but you stay laying down as long as you'd like. Oh.